Well, I haven't seen a lot of the main networks pick it up either.
I mean, Shane Carwin is to Glenn Beck what, the Grand Master at the KKK rally is to Brian Gumble. So, I mean, apparently Shane Carwin's been linked to Applied Pharmacy Services out of Mobile, Alabama, which is a online pharmacy of sorts. Apparently Shane is one of 22 pro athletes that has been linked to online steroid abuse. Let the record show right now that, Shane's never failed a drug test, and these are just allegations at the time. Basically, some baseball players, some bodybuilders.
John Rocker,
John Rocker, yeah. Some wrestling, most notably Kurt Angle from the former WWE.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. According to, this is from the Greeley Tribune out of Colorado. Where
this is actually Carwin. He hails from Greeley, I believe.
Yeah, the Mobile, Alabama Press Register, they reported Friday that they broke the story that Carwin's name was revealed during the sentencing of Dr. J. Michael Bennett. I'm not sure if he's a doctor. J. Michael Bennett. He may not be a doctor, but he could play one on TV. The supervising pharmacist of Applied Pharmacy Services, Bennett, he was one of 5 men convicted in February 2010. Shane Carwin's manager said Sunday that Shane had no comment, but after the investigation, Shane would make a comment. So right now he's not talking about it.
Here's the thing. This is what I just want to get at real quick here. You look me in the face and tell me that Brock Lesnar has not or is not currently taking steroids.
Right.
Someone tell me that. Okay, maybe he is linked to some bullshit with steroids, but my point here is...
We don't know how current this is. We don't know if this was 10 years ago.
Well, that's why I said let the record show he's never failed a drug test anywhere. And Shane's been a competitive athlete for many, many, many years, okay? You look at the NFL. You can't tell me everyone is not taking steroids. Look at baseball. Obviously, people do take steroids. Some people get caught. That must mean that a lot of people are.
Right.
Look at the MMA. It's actually not in your favor to take steroids.
Look at James Toney.
Look at James Toney. He got a trinket taken away from him for testing positive for steroids.
Right.
My point is here, though, I don't see how yes, it's illegal, but I don't see how this is huge news. Basically, because taking steroids in MMA is not going to do anything good for you unless you're a heavyweight. The more muscle mass you have, the more oxygen you have to pump in your body. Essentially, what I'm saying is you're going to gas much easier. So Shane Carwin's a big dude. He's really strong. He's got a lot of muscle mass. Brock Lesnar's a big dude. He's got a lot of muscle mass. They both gas easily. I don't know. I just don't. This whole steroid thing, Tiger Woods had corrective eye surgery where he sees better than 20/20 vision right now. I mean, shouldn't he be looked upon negatively for getting that because that's not natural? That couldn't happen.
That's eyeglasses. I mean, how far do you want to go? Is Gatorade performance enhancing? I know in some state commissions, Gatorade is not even allowed in the corner of an MMA or boxing sanctioned match. They can only have water.
Right. I understand that steroids are much more.
Right.
This is different. This is something you're injecting or you're swallowing. This is it changes your body physically, and it does it very, very quickly. But it's not like you can just take steroids and go to work and you're going to get huge. You actually have to put in a ton of hard work. Normally someone who takes steroids is a person who's been working out for a very, very long time,
right.
And then they reach a physical peak. And I'm not advocating the use of steroids here. I'm just saying I get it. I understand why people do it. And I just, this doesn't make me look at Shane Carwin any other way than what I looked at him before.
I think that he's going to be honest about it whenever
he could be, and I'm nervous about that. If Shane Carwin is honest about it and says, "Yes, I did take some steroids," I'm afraid for him. I'm afraid they're going to make an example out of him and maybe ban him, and that would be terrible because there's so many other dudes who have obviously taken steroids.
And the whole idea is, performance enhancing. Who's to say what may or may not enhance performance? I sound like some old schooler here. I mean, the only person these guys are cheating would be themselves because if they have to look in the mirror, they have to say, "Am I the best? Am I the best because of what I am and what I do, or did I get some assistance?" Like,
exactly.
I personally don't care if you're in the ring and you're getting punched in the face and you're doing the things in any form of sport. If you're out there, you're performing because sports is entertainment. Really, my whole thing is that if you're gonna do these things and you're fine with it, you're fine with yourself, you don't care about certain things, then I'm cool with it. I really don't care. But what is performance enhancing and how does it affect it? I don't know if it's good for a fighter or bad for a fighter.
It depends, man. It's the difference between, do I drink down 5 whey protein shakes a day so I can gain a bunch of muscle, and then when I end up on the ground grappling, I've got too much muscle mass to move around, and I gas.
Look at a guy like Jake Shields, who's a vegetarian, and you look at a guy in boxing when Tim Bradley trains. I don't know if he still does this, but in the past he's had a strict vegan diet. So do guys that eat meat, is that performance enhancing against these other people for whatever reason?
Right, seeing as you can get crude proteins out of like beef, rather than like out of like tofu or seitan or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And here's another thing I'm going to go into. This is kind of off track a little bit, but if we're going to be talking about steroids and we're gonna penalize people for this, then you got to do it. Let's look at boxing. You look at Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley never had his license taken away, even when it was proven that he took steroids and performance enhancing drugs. Maybe Antonio Margarito knew his hands were wrapped illegally. Maybe he didn't. Who knows? Either way, going into his fight with Shane Mosley, maybe he was at a disadvantage. Maybe Mosley juiced up before that fight.
You don't know. That's the whole thing, man. It's like this is the commission's fault, and this is the law's fault right here. You either make steroids illegal and you go into the NFL or any football league, college and everywhere, and you fucking test everyone constantly.
You take a hard stance.
Exactly. You take a hard stance. Or you don't ever convict anyone of it. You don't ever point any fingers, because you can go to the NFL right now, and you're fucking right. NFL's starting. This is, we've just started preseason games. Dudes are juicing right now. This is a reality. There's more juice being used right now than Shane Carwin ever thought of.
And there are some substances that maybe they weren't illegal 10 years ago that now they're considered illegal. So if you take
like ephedrine, for instance,
right? What if you had some professional athlete that was taking a supplement 10 years ago and was doing great, and now they can't take it because it's illegal? Does that take their accomplishments when it was a legal substance away? Do you put an asterisk on it now? Like, how do you view these things?
Yeah, this is just another. I just hope Carwin handles it well, and he doesn't, pull a Roger Clemens and just be like, didn't happen.
I think that as long as the UFC doesn't comment on it, Shane Carwin doesn't need to comment on it.
Exactly. That's the way I feel, too. Let's wrap that segment up right there with that. We're going to take a break. After we come out from the break, we're going to be talking about the upcoming King Mo versus Veju fight. And
King Mo.
Also, Dominic Grant and a little commentary from our buddy Andy in Andy's Corner. Next on The Bruiser. You're back with The Bruiser. Hey, coming up, what do we got? We got a Dominic Grant on? What's going on?
Yeah, Tomas Adamek against Michael Grant. That's going to be it's an interesting fight for a couple of different reasons.
Adamek's on a bit of a run here, isn't he?
Yeah. Adamek hasn't lost in a while. His last loss was to Chad Dawson, and he very well almost could have won that fight. He put Dawson down late in that fight, but fast forward a couple of years, we've got Adamek. He's had a good showing at heavyweight. He's won his 3 fights at heavyweight, beat some good guys. Now he's got a big test, and that big test is in Michael Grant. Michael Grant is a few years removed from being viable in boxing. His record is 46-3, but he really hasn't done much as of late. The interesting test of this is that he is huge. He is 6'7".
He's a big man,
long reach, and I think Adamek's people matched him up with Grant because, and I like the matchmaking on Adamek's part. His people did a good job putting him in there because Adamek, I think, is just about ready to compete with the likes of a Vladimir Vitaly Klitschko.
Remember the Nikolai Valuev David Hay fight here? Yeah,
that was the size disparity is not going to be that crazy, but
no, I mean
it will be. We got the natural 175 pounder
against the physical anomaly.
He's campaigning at heavyweight, and Adamek's people. You take the business of boxing. Adamek had a great showing on HBO. HBO didn't have any TV dates for him. Adamek's people, Kathy Duva, they wanted to keep him busy, and they're giving him a big challenge. They're calling it the big challenge because they think if they put Tomas in a fight with a guy like this size, they're really going to feel out how he may do against a guy like a Klitschko. Now, Michael Grant is not a Klitschko. He is nowhere near that. But there's some interesting things, and I think after this fight, I like Adamek. I like him by decision.
Yep.
I think that he's going to break him down, and he should get through it. And I think it sets him up nicely for a fight